A bird strike is strictly defined as a collision between a bird and an aircraft which is in flight or on a takeoff or landing roll. Since most birds fly during the day, most bird strikes occur in daylight hours as well. Bird strike is common and can be a significant threat to aircraft safety. On the program, we take on this issue and the attendant economic losses. Plus, aviation unions give ultimatum to shut the industry over planned concessioning of 4 major airports. That's a sneak preview. A warm welcome to Aviation this week on Channels Television. I'm Bukola Joe Oketumbi.
Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Thompson 253 Hotel, engine failure. We are continuing with northwesterly and then inbound towards Wallasey.
It's common knowledge that the bird strike menace in aviation is universal, having no respect for airspace boundaries, airport locations, phase of flight, aircraft type, season of the year, or aircrew's experience. A bird strike, sometimes called a bird ingestion for an engine, is a collision between an airborne animal, usually a bird or a bat, and a human-made vehicle, especially an aircraft. There could also be a bird hit or bash, which means for bird aircraft strike hazard. Bird strikes is said to be a significant threat to flight safety and have caused a number of accidents with human casualties. The number of major accidents involving civil aircraft is quite low, and it has been estimated that there is only one accident resulting in human death in 1 billion flying hours. When interactions between birds and aircraft happen, the consequences can range from a minor dent to the loss of an engine.
It's not every bird strike that warrants an air return, absolutely not. Like I said, sometimes the pilot may not even be aware that he's had a bird strike, so it could hit any part of the aircraft. It could be the undercarriage, it could be the fuselage, it could be the nose, the radome, the windscreen. Of course, then he'll see it and he will be aware, but it may be so innocuous. It could even go into the engine and the pilot may not even realize that he's had a bird strike. Generally, engines are built to be able to withstand bird strikes, so it's very rare that that it could cause something so hazardous as that would warrant an air return. But in the case where you have multiple bird strikes, then obviously that's far more hazardous.
It can be so dangerous, especially if it is the engine that it has been affected and it has a flame out at the end of the day. A flame out means that the engine stopped along the line. And if, for example, if it's a twin engine aircraft and it affected the two, that's a catastrophe. And if it's only one, the next thing is to look for the nearest airport to land.
The aviation industry worldwide has been reported to lose $1.6 billion to bird strikes. The situation has led to the airlines incurring huge costs in repairs of their damaged aircraft.
For example, if you have that damage and it affected the engine, and you have to take it to repair shop. So it depends on the level and which of the parts that have been affected. Minimum repair that you have, if you have such a situation, between $500,000 to $1 million. And you can see something you didn't plan for, although you will say at least it's part of your insurance policy that have been embedded into it. But then it's not every time that insurance comes into play into most of these things.
Over 155 recorded bird strike cases are said to have occurred in Nigeria between January 2009 and June 2011. There were 70 reported cases in 2009, 53 in 2010, and 22 in 2011. From 2011 to 2015, over 60 cases were reported. The International Civil Aviation Organization reports 65,139 bird strikes for 2011 to 2014, with the US accounting for the top 10 airports for occurrences. Bird strikes have always been a part of aviation. While they usually cause no more than minor damage, they can pose a threat to air safety. By being aware of the ongoing possibility of bird strikes and by following recommended procedures, flight crews can reduce the possibility and effects of a bird strike.
Bird strike definitely come with economic losses to airlines if an engine is badly affected, and more if the aircraft has to be grounded for hours or days. Our guest has more.
All year round, bird strike occurs in Nigeria, but it tends to be more frequent during the period of the year when the season changes, like between the end of October, November, when you're transiting from wet to dry season, and between between February and March, when you are transiting from dry to wet. These periods coincide with migration of birds from one zone of the world to another, and usually you have bird strike. Typically, the losses from bird strike is not just even about replacement, it's also about lost revenues. So to change an engine for a typical 737 the aero contractor operates will cost anywhere between $750 to $1.5 million, depending on the sheer quality of the engine or the life remaining on the engine when you changed it. So it could be, but put an average of $1 million to change an engine. Bird strike on the engine sometimes may be cured in hours. Sometimes it may take days. Sometimes it may require changing the engine completely. And if you don't have a spare engine around, engines are expensive components, and airlines rarely keep spares on ground. So if you lose an engine, if this engine damage is so severe as to warrant an engine change, you may be talking about weeks at a time, between 2 to 4 weeks, depending on how quickly you are able to search an engine and ship it in. I know that an average 737 aeroplane per flight at say roughly 20,000 naira with 100 passengers, so 2 million per sector. So that kind of aeroplane will probably do 12 sectors a day. So you are looking at 20 million naira per day. If you stretch more than a day, you can multiply that by the number of days in a week. If you, by the end of a week, for instance, in that particular scenario, your loss is already over 100 million. Birds are part of the ecosystem. So if you have to solve this kind of problem, you have to look at it from the point of the ecosystem. Apart from migrating birds, which usually cause me problems during, seasonally, for most of the other periods, birds at airports are usually there because they also need to feed. So if you can eliminate their prey, okay, and then control the bird, you can have a long period of absence of birds and therefore reduce or eliminate the risk that it poses. Most of the birds at the airport come around to pick insects on the field, come around to pick other animals that they prey on. So if you can do proper house cleaning, like weed the grasses, don't allow the grass, apply insecticides to make sure that as much as possible you sterilize the airport flora, and therefore the birds will have no business being there. And once the birds are removed, then you can be sure that at the airports bird strike will be minimized.